Now that was a pretty good 2-hour show. I'm John Rickland with my review of AEW Dynamite, and there were a few things I didn't like, but overall, this show flew by. I was enjoying myself. I was loving the matches, except for one. You probably can guess which one I didn't like. But from beginning to end, even with the dips, I really was liking what they were doing. And they're building towards Full Gear. They hyped up the 30 Years of Jericho show next week, and the anniversary show is going to happen on the 14th. And this was pretty damn fun. Let me know what you guys think in the comments. But just, they would put on more consistently good television like this, then fucking hell, they could crack 1 million and get to 1.5 million, and do some really great goddamn ratings, even with some of the bad shit or some of the shit I don't like. So anyway, we start off with Ricky Starks coming to the ring with a Darby Allin inspired body bag. And then we see footage of, a ramp and a body in a body bag going down the ramp. Seemingly, it was Darby. It was something in a body bag. If that was Darby, I have one question. Why the fuck does Darby wish to leave this mortal realm? And I asked that a couple other times during this match. And I've met Darby. And I love Darby. I think Darby's fucking incredible. I'm glad that he's representing my state. But good God, he's insane. Ricky Starks versus Darby Allin. I like Ricky Starks. I like Darby Allin. I like this match. This was a lot of fun. A really good feud that they built with some good attacks and some good promos and everything. Ricky Starks is fucking tremendous. Darby's been doing some great shit. Quick start. Very nice submissions by Darby. We get, the apron plex. I really didn't like that, but it did lead into Ricky having some back issues that would lead to the finish. Very nice dive. I love the way Darby dives because he just throws himself at everybody. I mean, he's only like 160 pounds, but he kind of has to. Cage comes in and tries to do a run-in. Cage isn't very good unless he's just sitting there looking impressive. I mean, yes, he can do a few, flips and a couple decent strikes, but honestly, Cage is kind of much more of a look than he is a wrestler. Hobbs comes down. They kind of get each other, away from there, so it's one-on-one. And then let the Darbys hit the floor. That was just really fucking brutal. It was like, Starks just whipping him right there onto the floor. Very nice armbar later. Ricky with an incredible spear. Darby goes off the ropes and Ricky just tackles him right there. That was some great shit. But in the end, coffin drop 1, 2, 3, and Darby Allin pins Ricky Starks, getting his revenge. Seemingly, though I don't know if this feud is over, they could build to a rematch at Full Gear or something like that. But this was a good way. If they want to cap out the feud, I'm not going to complain. It has been well built, and Darby wins what was virtually a 50-50 match. And he targeted the back, hit the coffin drop to the back, which was good stuff. And then Cody is back. He talks about, the pandemic, the unfortunate thing that, just how it's put kink in a lot of wrestling companies. Talks about handshakes. It wasn't a sign of respect. It's like it just proves we need each other. We need that connection. We need that connection with each other. Talks about losing the TNT title, his new Hollywood gig, that game show that nobody really fucking cares about. I mean, if you do, that's fine. It's just when I saw it, I go, cool. It's a show I don't need to watch. Who is the ace of AEW? He mentions the champions: Hikaru Shida, Jon Moxley, and Brody Lee. I can tell you right now, there are a few people that could be the ace of AEW. It ain't Brody Lee. And the Brody Lee's bad. It's just Brody Lee's pretty damaged, and he's just about on a plateau right here, and he ain't really going to go up, in my opinion. And he says, in regards to the dog collar match, no. But then he comes back and says, no, it's no regrets. Next week, I accept, dog collar match for the TNT Championship. Now, you probably think that I'm going to completely shit on this, like I shit on the, the stuff where, the Dark Order beat up the Nightmare Family about, what was it, about 5 weeks ago, 6 weeks ago. Here's why I beat up on that. It wasn't the, way they did it that bothered me. It was the fact that they did it with the Dark Order, and I absolutely hate the Dark Order. I can't stand it. And I'm going to stand by that. The pull apart in the beginning was fine. The pull apart with Brody, and then they were doing some good stuff. They had people rush the ring. Griff Garrison, Brian Pillman Jr. They had so many people run. Officials, everybody's doing this, and everything's going good. The Dark Order's there. They're on the outside. Okay, we're doing some good stuff. And then it hits a fucking wall because Cody's nepotism project comes out. And you can say what you want. You can say that I'm too harsh on the Dark Order. You can say I'm too harsh on Brody Lee. And that's fine. I mean, there are certain things I don't like. There are certain things that we're going to disagree on. Fans are going to disagree on. And I respect if you guys like the Dark Order, and that's fan-fucking-tastic. You see something in them, I don't. But even if I think the Dark Order is just a stupid fucking gimmick, you got this group out there and they're trying to get to their leader. They're trying to get their leader out of there. Also, Brody was hitting some punches that were not very convincing. I mean, I didn't expect him to full on hit people, but it's like the camera wasn't on him, so it's like those fights in those Italian sword and sword and sandal movies, like the Hercules movies, where it's like, we're just gonna hit our swords into the shield, but actually, just it's like we're doing like some bad choreography. That wasn't very good. That was a bad camera shot. And I don't know if the show was live. I wonder if it was taped. In all seriousness, I actually do wonder if it was taped. But what did it was Cody's nepotism project comes, and then she just does a springboard dive right onto the Dark Order. Killed it. Absolutely fucking killed it. There was no need for Brandy to come out there. There was no need for her to do that. Now, if they had her come out and get in the face and, suddenly they do the Anna Jay thing, even though Anna Jay beat Brandy, even if it was like, by nefarious means, we do not need that feud to continue. But Anna Jay starts attacking Brandy. It fell off the rails really quickly after that. So, Brandy does tend to ruin everything. We get Anna Jay there, and then we get Kylan King trying to break the whole thing up. I like Kylan King. Why is Kylan King not signed? And then Nyla Rose attacks Kylan King. Everything just kind of goes mad. And they kept doing it where Brody would come back and try to attack Cody. They're trying to make a feud happen that just didn't necessarily work for me. Now, that's not to say I don't appreciate the effort that they're trying to put in here, but it didn't work for me. It went on too long. It started fine, and then Brandy's low involvement just fucking killed it, especially the way they did. They just made the Dark Order where it's like, oh, great, they're taken out by a woman that can barely do anything in a goddamn ring and can't cut a goddamn promo, and her action figure is more charismatic than she ever will be. Yeah, that's like the point where I'm like, okay, this show fell into a hole, and I'm really disappointed. It got out of that hole, but goddamn it, Brandy does not need to be doing things in the ring. But anyway, it started fine, but then just hit a wall. That being said, the dog collar match next week might be pretty good, especially if they want to get blood involved. TNT seems to be more willing to do stuff with blood as far as TV 14 programming. Then Shivani interviews FTR and Tully, and they talk about the Bucks blowing opportunities and Meltzer giving out star ratings and stuff like that. And then Mac suddenly super kicks Tony Schiavone after he broke in his phone last week. It is at this point where I'm thinking I'm going to be really, really down on this episode. And don't get me wrong, there are things I did not like. But here's a surprise twist, as I talked about. I really enjoyed this. Dasha then suddenly interviews SCU, and then suddenly Spears is there, which is a terrible sequel to Suddenly Susan. And Spears and Sky lock eyes and everything, and it's like, well, what are you going to do? What are you going to do? I took out your buddy, haha. And they're going to get a tag title shot next. Not Spears and Sky, that would be weird. Scorpio Sky and Frankie Kazarian. And Paige joins commentary, very unprepared was his graphic, and he was drinking, and what was that shirt? Seriously, what was that shirt? I say this as somebody that always wears wrestling shirts, but I'm just on my phone doing YouTube videos. It was just very odd. So, FTR versus SCU, Sky and Kazarian, 20-minute time limit for the AEW Tag Team Championships. This was a time limit thing where usually it's 60-minute time limits for AEW, but 20-minute time limit as a way to get the tag team titles on TV, but they have a third of the time, the opponents do. And if they don't beat them and 20-minute time limit expires, it's a win for FTR. Okay, that was a convoluted way or they tried to explain it, and it was a bit convoluted last week. Tully did his best, and Tully is one of the best talkers, but the way they did it, they kind of did him no favors. That being said, that's the way I understood it. And the match was good. It's very, very good stuff. Cash does fake Daniels pulling his leg, so Daniels gets kicked out, so Tully's in their corner, while Kazarian and Sky are on their own. Sky does a cool dive, a skydive, if you will. I'm waiting for everybody to tune out right at that bad pun. Some good pacing, double cutters by SCU, and really, really good stuff here. Kazarian does collide with Sky. You think that's going to lead to a little dissension? No, it does not. Tully and Dax later hold down the foot. 1, 2, 3, and they escape with the tag team championships and get a win. And it reminds me of, finishes they've done before in territories, and also WrestleMania 5, when Rick Rude beat the Ultimate Warrior. And yeah, I'm just going to say right now, I don't care. Fuck Ultimate Warrior. I'm glad he's dead. Rick Rude was a much better Intercontinental Champion than Ultimate Warrior could have ever hoped to have been. But yeah, this is good stuff, and it was a good way to get more heat on FTR. And then we get an 8-man tournament announced for the world title. And the final two will meet at Full Gear for a world title shot, I should have said. It's Jungle Boy, Phoenix, and Omega. And once Omega's name is mentioned, Paige, realizing he's wearing that shirt and probably about 5 bottles into commentary, decides to leave. Paige should be in that match and should face Omega in the finals. I think that's where they should go with it. And then we get Jericho with the Inner Circle versus Isaiah Cassidy with Mark Quinn and Matt Hardy. It was good, but Jericho physically looks like shit and should not continue to wrestle. Cassidy did have a quick start. It went outside. Jericho got sent into Luther, the Japanese deathmatch legend, Luther. Then a senton by Cassidy, and then Jericho took over. Hager's nose got busted at one point. His hair was just absolutely out of control. It was like something about Mary had gotten a hold of his hair. Jericho should not do the lion salt. It just didn't work. Isaiah Cassidy did a lion salt, and even the codebreaker, but would eventually fall after jumping out the top ropes, get hit with the Judas effect. 1, 2, 3. And then Ortiz gets his cocksock out, and then he's chased off by Matt Hardy. Matt Hardy, by the way, who said he was going to take time off and has yet to take any goddamn time off. Matt can do what he wants. It's his career, it's his life, but he should not get back in the ring. Be a manager, that's it. Because he's 47 years old. I mean, even if he was 37, I hate to say it, after that kind of landing and nearly dying, he's got a family. He should just if he wants to wrestle, he can wrestle. I just don't think it's a good idea. And then Jericho, Hager, and Luther and Serpentico have a battle because we need a Jericho versus Luther feud. That's apparently something we need to see. Apparently Luther got in AEW because of Jericho. And then we have Miro and Kip playing the bachelor party, or Miro's playing Kip's bachelor party, and says, "Never forget your blue balls." I never forget my blue balls. I don't know why that made me laugh. Maybe it's because I'm immature. And then they do axe throwing and arcades, and who the fuck is Billy Mitchell? Seriously, who is he? I have no idea who this guy is. It looks like Michael Bay trying to like cosplay as a cult leader. And then we get Dasha interviewing Best Friends and Orange Cassidy. FTR interrupt and call them comedy backyard wrestlers. And then Best Friends look like they're going to hit FTR, and they kind of wince away. And then Orange Cassidy simply says the word weenies. And I'm like, what the fuck? This is where the show kind of hit a wall match quality-wise. Orange Cassidy versus 10 of the Dark Order. Preston Vance. Why does the Dark Order need to happen? Why did this match need to happen? I know Orange Cassidy lost to Brody Lee last week and all the shenanigans and everything, but I think it's pretty obvious that was decisive and Brody Lee won. Too much Dark Order. I don't like them. I don't mind the talents. I hate the gimmick. If that makes any sense. Because you can have the best talents, but if you have a terrible gimmick, I'm not going to care. And then we get Dive, Orange Punch, Air Raid Crash, which is called the Beach Break, I guess, 1, 2, 3. And then we get MJF and Wardlow with a gift for Jericho and the Inner Circle. It's jackets, but not for Sammy, because Sammy would not, well, Sammy would probably, you know what, I'm just not going to make that joke about Sammy, because, you know, maybe he'll grow up from all that bullshit, but Sammy did not get a jacket. I thought Santana didn't get a jacket at first. I believe Ortiz felt that this jacket was the best. And they, MJF and Jericho doing a callback, join the Inner Circle. Do you want me to join the Inner Circle? Do you want to join the, you know, that kind of stuff. And Sammy's like, what a loser. No, Jericho's like, maybe he's not. Because MJF is teased being in a faction. Then we get Britt with Reba versus Red Velvet. Britt is back from the Tooth and Nail match, and if you get that reference, I love you guys. Red Velvet isn't that bad. Britt got the victory here, though, pretty quickly. JR did have one funny line. Usually, wrestling dentists are ugly, though he did mention how sticky and hot it is during the women's match. Thanks, horny JR. You're staying constant. And then we get a, stomp variation for 3. And then Reba hands her a glove to do the lock job. And then for next week, 30 Years of Jericho. Jericho and Hager versus Chaos Project, Serpentico, and Luther. And then we get Cage and Hobbs FTW title. You know, that title that didn't need to come back. Cody and Lee in the dog collar match. And then we get Kingston and Lucha Bros are there. And then Bryce Rensburg, I believe is how it's said. Apparently him and Kingston have known each other for years. And he says, I didn't tap out. Why the hell did you do this? Well, yeah, we know each other and you know my family, but that's personal business. In the ring, I'm here to save you from yourself. You were unresponsive. And then it looked like he was going to get, Lucha Bros is sick, Bryce. And then suddenly John Moxley's here. Who am I going to face? Moxley's wondering, even though he doesn't say it in the mic. It's the Butcher in a meat apron. And they have a match that's mostly a brawl with some strikes. It isn't bad. It's for the AEW World Championship, by the way. So there was no way the Butcher was winning. I mean, he wouldn't even won even if it was non-title. We get a paradigm shift. After Mox had sold the knee and Butcher had actually done some pretty good knee lock stuff. Paradigm shift, Bulldog choke. And Eddie's looking unhappy and everything. So maybe we're going to get Eddie versus Moxley in the main event of Full Gear. Wouldn't mind seeing a rematch there. So not a bad episode of Dynamite. Actually pretty damn entertaining. Let me know what you guys think in the comments. Like, share, subscribe, Twitter handle in the description. I'm John Rethlin. I'll see you soon.